Okay, so yesterday I have given delete example. Shilpa completed delete up to checkbox selecting and selecting. Very good. Right. Yesterday I have given complete source code of this checkbox delete example, but logic we have to write. So for that, anybody else? Right. Now come back to our discussion. We have to implement two tasks. One is whenever you select the checkbox, all the checkboxes, whenever we select we have to implement here two tasks. Whenever I will select all checkbox, grid view all the rows checkboxes should be selected. Whenever I will unselect, then grid view all the checkboxes should be unselected. Should be unselected. This we are expecting. This for this we have to write the logic. First one. So this code where we have to write under checked changed event.
Select.
Checked changed event under checked changed event. Okay, 1 minute. Checked changed event, because whenever you are checking the checkbox, whenever you are unchecking the checkbox, one event is firing. What is that event? What is that event? Whenever you are checking the checkbox or unchecking the checkbox, one event is firing. What is that event? Checked changed, because whenever you check the checkbox or uncheck the checkbox, one property is changing of the checkbox, one property is changing. 1 minute. Solution Explorer. Right. Okay, one property is changing. What is the property of the checkbox? What is the property of the checkbox? Checked property. Checkbox checked property. Checked property. Checkbox checked property is what property? Checkbox checked property is what property? What type property it is? Checkbox checked is what type? Data type of the property is what? Checked property data type I am asking. Boolean. What is the by default value? False. And if it is true means, changing true means checkbox will be selected. Observe the screen. Checkbox will be selected. Suppose I made it as false, checkbox will be unselected. So whenever you check the checkbox or uncheck the checkbox, checked property will change. On behalf of this property, checked changed event will file. So here we have to write the logic. Okay, if you check here, two options. What is that? Check check check. What is the checkbox ID?
Check all.
No, this checkbox ID I didn't remember. What is the ID of the checkbox?
Check all. Check all.
I think it is giving wrong ID. What is this? Check all or check? Here this ID is, oh, I'm sorry.
Check all.
Actually this ID is check delete. Which one? Grid view checkbox. Here this ID should be check all, right? According to our design.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mistakenly I have given check delete, but it should be check all. Check all. Right. Check all. Now, right. So I changed it as check all, and any of whatever event we generated, I'm removing because I changed the ID of the control. That's why I'm removing. Compilation and execution. Right. 1 minute. Just I'm checking the application. Any mistakes are there? Right. You can see I'm removing this old code also. Let me check all check changed. Right?
Yes.
Under this event we have to write the code. Come on. Compilation and execution. Just checking the yesterday code. Right. It should display what at present. Within the grid it should display what?
Employee table with
Complete EMP
one more
table
column
within the
field.
grid it should display, right? Now,
Yes.
that is for that binding code, have you written in .cs file? No.
Yes, sir.
Where
No,
you have written the logic
not in
for binding?
.cs.
Within the
Source
ASPX.
file.
source code.
Source.
Not responding. Why your source code? Okay. So many homeworks are there to give, but when I have given 1-2 homeworks only, you are not doing properly. That's why I am also keep quiet. There are so much scope is there to work, do practice, practicals in this grid use side. Right. Now we will write the logic that is working. So we will write the logic under checked changed event. Tell me, here you have how many options? Here you have how many options? 2 options.
Select.
Here you
Select
have
or
2
unselect.
options. That is either user may select or
And select.
unselect. If, come on, if, what is that? If
Call.
check,
Check dot
what is that?
Check
Check select
all
ala, check ala. ID,
check all.
check
All.
all,
All.
dot checked,
Dot check.
check all dot checked. If check all dot checked. Come on, tell me. Else, check all dot checked. Means what?
Select all the check
If it is
boxes.
true, means you have to check
Select
all
all
the
the
checkboxes in the
checkboxes.
grid view. For each,
Yes, sir.
why for each? You want to go to which row? First row. First row to last row you want to check. First row to last row. Here row is nothing but a collection. All grid view rows are nothing but a collection. Which collection? Grid view collection. You can see. Reach the first row. Grid view row in grid emp dot rows. Here my question is, for each syntax whether you remembered or
Gave
not.
me
1 minute. Come on, tell me. Asking something? Hello? Here my question is, grid emp dot rows is what? Representing what?
Rows of the
number of rows.
Grid view rows collection. Grid emp dot rows is representing grid view row collection. If you want, you can see the property also. Grid view row collection. Right now, grid view row collection is how much?
4.
Four rows. 4. Here, when we will go for each, you have a question. Whenever you want to fetch the element from a collection, from first element to last element, we'll use a concept called for each that we discussed in collection concept. Same way here, we need to go to the first row to last row. Here that all the rows are nothing but a collection, grid view row collection. That's why I'm using a concept called for each. because there is no excuse for any row. First row to last row you have to travel. Go to the first row, check the checkbox. If it is checked, go to the first row, and in that row go to the checkbox and do check. Okay, like first row to last row. So right now row is what here? ROW, row is what? Variable. The variable type is what?
Grid view, row,
Row. That row in is what? Keyword. And first to
keyword.
this, in first iteration, this row variable will be pointing to the grid view. Which row?
First row,
Grid view. Which row? First row. Grid view. Which row? First row. And I'm telling you that row variable will be pointing to the first row of the grid view in the first iteration. In second iteration, second row. Third iteration, third row. Fourth iteration, fourth row. Fifth iteration, fifth row. Let us assume there are 4 records in the grid view. Then for each will execute how many iterations?
4.
4 times,
There are, let us assume 4 rows are there in the grid view. Then for each will execute how many iterations?
4 iterations.
4 iterations. 4 iterations. Okay.
yes.
Now you reached the first row. You reached the first row. Come on. You reached the first row. Come on, tell me. In first row, tell me. Row is pointing which row?
The first row,
Row variable is pointing which row?
first row,
First row. In first row, tell me what?
Row dot. Find control.
grid view,
Tell
row
me.
dot,
Row dot.
First row. Next what? Tell me. Next. After that, you to reach what? Checkbox. After reaching in that row, you need what? Checkbox. How to reach checkbox? Checkbox.
Checkbox ID.
My
checkbox,
checkbox variable
equal to
equal to checkbox of
checkbox of
row
row dot
find control.
find
All this
control,
code will be same.
control of the
Find control of
checkbox,
find control
checkbox
of
name.
check delete. Find control of check delete.
it's here, sir.
Check delete. Right. Tell me. Check delete. Next what?
My check,
Next
my
what?
checkbox,
Next what? That checkbox should be
checked.
checkbox.
My checkbox
My checkbox dot check
dot
equal to true.
equal to true.
True. Equal true. My question is, in first iteration, my checkbox is pointing to which checkbox?
First checkbox,
First checkbox.
Very poor response. In first iteration, my checkbox is pointing to which checkbox?
First row.
First row checkbox. That first row checkbox dot checked equal to true.
true,
Means it will be selected. Now control will encounter the closing brace. Again control will go for which iteration?
for each
Second row.
iteration.
Second iteration. Control will go for second iteration. In second iteration, my checkbox is pointing to
Second row, checkbox,
second row checkbox. That second row checkbox will be true and it will be selected. Like that, let us assume grid view will be having 4 rows. Then for each will execute how many iterations?
4
Iterations.
4 iterations. Okay na? Right. 4 iterations. So all the grid view, all the checkboxes will be checked. Now copy, again paste, same else part also, but only one change.
False.
What is that change, Nivedita?
Check.
What is that change?
Click my checkbox
In
check is
every
equal to
place I
false.
have seen only one thing. Remember, who are doing lab practicals more will dominate the batch. Who will dominate the batch are getting multiple offers. Dominating will get multiple offers. That is up to you. Same story. Else is what? Checked equal to?
False. My
Checked
false.
equal to?
False.
False. Checked equal to false. Yeah, you do one thing, guys. This check all checked changed event code. Under that event, whatever code I have written, I am sending through chart. Sending through chart. Just copy paste the code in your system and execute once, all of you. And try to understand. And try to understand. Right. Okay, now all of you. Yeah, I'll show you. We'll test the application first. Compilation and execution. Compilation and execution. You can observe. Right. How many are checked the code already? Did you check the code, all of you? Okay. So it seems screen lagging is more. We'll check this one and we'll log off and log in. Wait for 2 minutes. And lot of I checked. I unchecked. Not working. Why it is not working? Because concern checkbox auto post back property we have to implement. Concern checkbox auto post back. What is that? Auto post back equal to true. Concern check all checkbox auto post back, because post back request should be generated. Post back request should be generated. Right. Now you see compilation and execution. Okay, maybe that mistake might you have done, all of you. Now you see. Right. I checked my select all checkbox. In my screen it is checking all, but I don't know. In your screen, maybe screen lagging is there. Is it checked all checkboxes for you?
Yes, sir.
No, check it because I'm unable to see that your screen. Screen lagging is there. I'm unchecking. I'm unchecking. I'm unchecking.
Yes, sir, it is showing.
Okay. Let me trace the code. Let me trace the code. Okay, let me trace the code. I'll trace the code. I'll explain the code with tracing. What screen lagging is more, it seems. We'll do log off and log in better because explanation is tough task for me. All of you guys exit from the meeting and just log in.